UT Martin head coach Jason Simpson, the team coming off a loss to FBS Oklahoma State this past week, back in action against an FBS opponent on the road at UTEP on Saturday night. So, coach, just some general thoughts about your team, and then we'll go to some questions.
Yeah, okay. It was a hard fought game. It was a very physical game on the road at Oklahoma State. There was statistically, you look at some things and you say, we had 9 tackles, some positive things we did. We had some 9 tackles for loss. We had a couple sacks. We're in the game. It's 17-7, I think, late in the third quarter. So you competed really hard, really well, and did some good things defensively. Offensively, we had to use a little trick play to score. Got us on the board, but couldn't create any explosives on offense. So there was, to flip the field and, kind of move the ball a little bit between the 20s. Then they would tighten up and we wouldn't take advantage of it. So like I said, there was some positive things. There certainly was. I liked how we competed. It was our first time together, obviously, first game. We need to line up faster on defense. We missed some tackles, all things that are correctable, and then be able to sustain some drives or make some bigger plays on offense. Special teams, I thought we did okay. Didn't get ourselves beat. Made our few kicks, covered okay. So a lot of things to build off of this week.
You see some of these early season games against FBS teams, it's 70-0 or whatever. So not moral victories, but what you just said, it was close for a majority of the game. That has to be better than losing 70-0, right?
Well, no, certainly. You're wanting to go compete, and your kids giving great effort and stuff. As we watched the tape, on Sunday or for on Friday when we got back, certainly a lot of great opportunities to grow as the players saw. Could have done this better and this better. A lot of things. That we could have controlled, no matter the difference of the caliber player that you were playing against, that would have made that game even tighter. And then that's what you're looking for, to be able to execute at a higher level.
Tell us about you mentioned the gadget play that you all scored on, how that came about, and what made you all decide to use that in that situation.
Yeah, we every week, just like most offenses, you always got a couple of wrinkles, and then we've run that one a couple times over the years and scored on it. So we'll put it back in the vault and break it back out in a couple of years. But Bryce did a great job with the throw, and Gentry did a nice job. I thought he'd overthrown him, but he ran it down and one hand caught it and gave us a little life on the sideline, and kind of quieted the crowd for a few minutes.
How did those come about? As is it you? Is it do some of the players come to you, the coordinators? How would a play like that come about?
No, every year I usually assign a different coach to, research different trick plays, and, you kind of keep a notebook of them. And over the years, I'm not a big trick guy. That's kind of, you can follow me over 20 years, and there's only been a handful, but, we break them out when we need them. And, you know, so that one just was ready and felt like we needed a spark, and the kids executed it really well.
So everybody always wants to talk about quarterbacks. Just maybe elaborate a little bit more on Jason and what you saw from him when passing and running.
Right. First of all, outstanding competitor. I thought he led our team, well administratively, and so there's a lot of things to build off of. He made a few plays with his legs, made a couple throws. So, now we were having some protection problems, so didn't really turn him loose. Strategically, trying to avoid negative plays. So he really didn't get a chance to, push the ball down the field. That's why, it was only one big play, 17 yards in the pass game besides the double pass. But we'll have to continue to open that up as we go. I think he'll be the first one to tell you. There was a couple misreads, couple things that he'll clean up for us this week. But he'll have to play well for us to continue to grow as an offense.
Well, another FBS opponent, so it doesn't necessarily get easier for your team or your offense. UTEP, who lost at Utah State to begin the season. Just thoughts about what you've seen from them on film.
Yeah, certainly we talked preseason about the difficult part of our schedule. These, not that they're not harder in the later on in the year, but at least the first five, based off last year, and three of the four being FBS opponents. So yep, I've never been there before. Seen, certainly seen the stadium over the years in the bowl game and all the cool history that it has. So, we're somewhat familiar with the opponent as far as the different guys on the staff and competing against them. Look at them on tape. I mean, obviously they go on the road and they stay in the game. I think it was 28-16. So, I'm sure they're like us. There's some things that they could have done better. There's some things that they're pleased with the build off of. So I'm just looking to see how much more we can improve from game one to game two and keep competing.
And they passed the ball 28 times. Is there anything to be said, like when you're playing opening the season against two opponents, if the opponents have any similarity, does that help out in your preparation? But you also, at the same time, you got some film. You've seen what UTEP did last week. How does that help, I guess?
No, it does. The first game, your call sheet's probably way too large because you don't exactly know what you're going to see. And then you try to hone it down throughout the game. Once you get tape, then you can be more precise in your game plan. You always got to be, prepared for, change ups and different things that teams put in for you. So your players got to have certain rules they can follow to be able to be in the right spots and execute a play. So, no, this is more comfortable for us. I think everybody, once you start having tape on each other.
And last question, you played on Thursday, so did that travel work out for you okay to get home and have the whole weekend for your players and get some extra days before this next game?
Yeah, I felt like we needed it. I mean, I don't think we got into about 3:30 a.m. Friday morning. The kids were back that afternoon to watch that tape and make those corrections, and they had the weekend off. Felt like they needed some time away and time to clear their rest their legs and clear their minds a little bit. We had a good spirited practice last night, so now we're kind of in the routine of the season. Of Tuesday, Wednesday, clean up Thursday, and travel again on Friday.
Well, Coach, appreciate your time as always. Best of luck Saturday night, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you.